Welcome back. This is being recorded at the end of the build session, so again, it's more like an outro than an intro, but you're going to watch it at the beginning. So what you're about to watch is the forward floor assembly get put together along with the air ramp. I started this while I was building the firewall section. As paint was curing, I gathered more parts, did stuff, but I didn't want that last video to be so long, so I left out the forward floor stuff. So it's in this video. As of this morning, I finished riveting all of that together along with the ramp, the air exit ramp. So you're going to see all of that. It came out really well. I'm finally getting back into the swing of things, back riveting. I have redeemed myself. I even learned a new trick with the C-frame, so you'll get to see that. That was kind of cool to be able to figure that part out. I'm getting ready to go on a work trip on Monday, so I'll be gone for a week, so no build progress. I am going to start today on the gear towers. That's next. And we'll see how far I get. You probably won't get another video from me until at least next weekend, but that should be fine. Also, in the store, new product, thanks to one of you who requested it. The zip tie wire clips are now available. So these are kind of like the clips that hold the conduit in, but these have an extra ridge on them that creates a saddle for a zip tie. There's a saddle at the top for a wire to go through. There's a notch down here in case you want to try and clamp a wire or something. So the way that works is you slide that on just like you normally would, put your zip tie on it. Make this easy on myself because I'm trying to do this with everything floating in midair. There we go. So just like that, if you don't have one of these are handy. This is a zip tie gun, but give it a little cinch and a pull, and that's it. Your wire is now secured. This is handy for how to secure the wire along, say, the conduit before you run it into a T or the end of the conduit to feed it into something. Or if you had a connector, you could secure it on either side to keep the connector from floating around inside the wing. Handy little thing. It has an interior rib just like the other clips, so once it locks down on there, it's not going to slide on the conduit anywhere. It's going to stay exactly where you put it. Anyhow, those are available in the store now in case anybody wants them. And that's about it. A few things coming up and some more parts, waiting on some more paint. But it'll all be here in time for the next video next weekend. And thanks for stopping by. I hope you enjoy the video. As always, VoiceOver Tim will give you the details of what you see and what happens along the way. I'll see you on the next one. Okay, welcome to the voiceover part. As I stated in the intro there, when I recorded that, everything had already been done. This worked a lot better than the firewall. I guess that was just, the steep learning curve, having to dip my toes back into riveting and building structures again rather than playing with fiberglass. I'm definitely glad to be back at it though. It's a lot more enjoyable. Anyhow, this is the forward underfloor. Those cross braces, I'm dimpling them right now for 6 nut plates, 3 on each end of each cross brace. Or I'm countersinking them. Just like everything else on the plans, orientation is everything. It's very confusing because the structure you're working on this forward underfloor is the underside of the floor. So keeping bottom and top straight is very important. So as it sits right now, this is the underside bottom of the forward floor. The side to the left of the video is aft. The side to the front of the video is forward. Is that right? No, I got that backwards. See, even I can't keep it straight now trying to look at it. Nope, I did have it right. To our left is aft, to our right is forward. And you saw me move those ribs around because I wasn't even sure there. So this part's just like everything else, getting everything clecoed in place so you can final drill, match drill all of the holes There are some gotchas coming up. I had to phone a friend. Definitely got some help from Mark again when it came to the orientation of things and what gets dimpled and what doesn't. I'll be sure to point that out later on when it becomes important in the video. Also, what I did to alleviate some of that for myself. The plans also have you drill out several holes with nothing else attached to them yet. So you see me final sizing those number 30 holes right there. It's had me do this in several spots, both I believe on the firewall, and it's had me do it here and on the cooling air exit ramp. Anyhow, everything's final drilled, take it all apart, and now it's time for edge prep, hole deburring, parts prep, all that other good stuff. And I'll spare you some of that because you've seen me do it literally thousands of times at this point. I wish peeling that vinyl off was more gratifying than it is, but it really isn't. Seems like it should be. Okay, so this side of the skin is the top side, or was the top side. That'll be the side that faces my feet. Alright, right now I have the plans and I am marking exactly which holes I need to countersink versus dimple. So these are for nut plates. And then I'm going to bring up a section of the plans here in a second and show you what I'm looking at in that upper right corner. And I drew this onto the part to make life easier. You see me tracing it out right now. Everything inside of that marked area gets dimpled. Everything outside of it does not. Same thing with riveting later. Nothing outside of that gets riveted. So there you can kind of see the outline I was working with in the middle. And you can see the drawing better in this shot. So it's just a matter of staying inside the lines. Don't dimple anything outside of it. Those 3 big holes you see on either side, that's actually for the gear leg bolts later on. Give you an idea of what part this is and how the orientation goes. This is all going to be very confusing probably for a little while until these start coming together as a big structure. I apologize now if I sound off, by the way. Allergies are in full effect here in Houston right now, and they are really kicking my butt, along with the heat. Okay, so after parts prep and the magic of editing, all the parts have been primed, and it's time to put the nut plates on. So, as I stated earlier, there are 6 nut plates, 3 on each side of each brace, forward brace and aft brace. And I'm just using tape to keep from marring up the surface, since I went to all the trouble of priming it, trying to make it pretty. And the last step of putting those nut plates on, the plans tell you to take a number 40 countersink and start countersinking where the screw goes until you've got it deep enough that a number 6 dimple will fit in there. So I've got a little coupon there with a 6 dimple in it, and I had adjusted the countersink until I got it to the right depth, and then went through and finished all 6 on each brace. Okay, it is time for some back riveting redemption. This kicked my butt on the firewall. I have no idea still why I had such a hard time trying to make that work. But this worked beautifully. So I'm starting with the nut plates, making sure that my back riveting plate is on the edge of that table, so it's right underneath that L brace that's there. And everything worked out perfect. So now on to the rest of the structure. Populate the holes with rivets, and those are 426 4 I believe they're 4s. You do not rivet the forward cross brace right now. It tells you just to cleco that in and don't rivet it. So I've got rivets set up for those angled aft ribs, the rear cross brace, and the intercostal ribs. And time for more back riveting. These are working much, much better, but I've quickly realized I can't get the innermost rivet on the intercostal because of the flange on that rear cross brace. But I don't have to, because I figured out, and pro tip, semi-pro tip, I pulled the rivets out, holding that rear cross brace in, and just very carefully slid it out. Then I could get those last 2 rivets in the intercostal ribs, and then very carefully slide the cross brace back in. Worked perfectly, and I ended up with really nicely set rivets. And as I stated earlier, the front one just gets clecoed on. So there's a shot of it, the assembly riveted together. There's the top side all nice and smooth and pretty. Came out really well. And now it's time to get those rivets, 470 rivets that go in between the ribs. Thought maybe I could use the squeezer, can't get it in there, so I've got the offset cup set with the rivet gun, and that worked out well too. And if you notice, I think I bought it from the yard store, there's a green cap on the end of my cup set. I found those last time I was on the yard store looking for different things, and there's a finished product. Those what it is it's a protective cap. Instead of having to keep adding layers of tape to protect the head of the dome head of the rivet, the cap is good for, well, I don't know, I haven't burned through one of them yet, but it's supposed to be good for several rivets, like 100 rivets or something like that. You just slide it on. When it gets completely chewed up and is no good anymore, you slide it off and put a new one on. And they weren't really expensive, and they seem to do a really good job, so I will probably be buying more of those and use them anytime I have to do the 470 style rivets. Anyhow, on to the cooling air exit ramp. After doing some research, I found that a lot of people complain that these develop cracks from the exhaust. I guess if you get the turned down exhaust tips, that alleviates most of the problems, but if you have the kind of exhaust that blasts straight on it, you start developing cracks within the first 100 hours or so. The alternative that some people have done is you get a thin, I think a .015 sheet of stainless steel and replicate this ramp out of stainless, which would be a nice look. It would match the firewall. Definitely wouldn't have to worry about heat or cracking, but I don't have said stainless. I'm going to roll with the aluminum I got and just make sure that I have turned down tips on the exhaust, I guess, so this doesn't develop cracks later on. Fairly simple part. You just had to trim the edges. You saw me mark those, and now they're trimmed at an angle, and then just do all the regular parts prep. Final drill, deburr, dimple, rinse and repeat. The one thing you're going to see different that you haven't seen me do pretty much at all on this build is, in addition to scuffing this up for priming those cross braces, oh yeah, and that rear brace also gets drilled to this front brace, so that's what you see me doing there. I'm also going to scuff up the bottom side of the cooling air ramp, and I'm doing that so I can actually prime it. There you see me doing it. Normally I don't prime the all-clad skin pieces. It's just my personal preference. I haven't been doing it. Parts where they touch I do, braces I do. The reason I did it on this is because I actually have some sound dampening mat and heat insulation that's self-adhesive, and I'm going to put a very small piece of it on the inside layer of that ramp later on. I'm not really going to put it anywhere else in the plane. The stuff is heavy, it's dense, but I figure if any part of the bottom of the plane is going to act like a drum from the exhaust, radiate noise, heat, and everything else, it would be that. So a small bit of dampening material is going to go in there. So the last part is riveting the that rear brace to the front brace, or the rear brace from the ramp to the front brace on the forward floor. And thankfully I remembered I could uncleco it because that thing's not riveted in place. And I was going to rivet it with the rivet gun, but then I remembered I talked about it on the firewall. I can rivet with this C-frame, and I haven't really done it yet. It would have been quicker and easier to not do it this way, but I wanted to try it out. And because of the double flanges, it's too much of a reach for my squeezer to have done with any of the yokes I have. So I thought I would give this a shot, and took a little adjusting, a little tweaking. You see it does got some flex. These 470s are probably as big of a rivet as you could ever hope to set with these, but it did work, and it set really nice looking rivets. There you go. Anyhow, I hope you enjoyed it. I got a work trip. I'm going to start working on these gear towers. That video will hopefully be out next weekend. We'll see how much progress I make. But thanks for stopping by. Go check out the store if you haven't. And I really appreciate all the suggestions, the help, and the support from everybody out there. I'll leave you with these closing shots, and I will see you all on the next one.